8:25 in the morning. 8:25 in the morning. And we're going to prep some Pathfinder this morning. So, I thought some Space Banjo might be good in the background, but it's kind of lulling me back to sleep just a little bit. Just a little bit. I need some good, upbeat, not Western music. That's what I'm craving. Let's see. Fantasy airship music. Let's find something else. Steampunk and Fantasy Music Collection. 1 hour mix in the Clockwork Lands. Alright. Let's see what you got. Let's see what you got, buddy. So, if there is anybody in chat this morning, please critique my sound. Let me know how my sound is doing. Like, if my sound is bad, please let me know. Apparently, there was an update to Discord, and I've had, like, really bad sound for the last 2 weeks, but because I'm such a monstrous asshole, like, nobody, well, that's not fair. People tried to talk to me about my bad sound, and I got, like, really mad because I couldn't figure out what was wrong with my sound, and I guess my most toxic trait is, like, not being good at asking for help. So since I wanted to figure, I didn't want anyone to help me figure it out, but like I didn't have the time or the spoons to figure it out myself. I just had shitty sound for my games for 2 months, which is really bad. Because when you sell a product, hey, what's up? Good morning, dude. Hi. Do I sound okay? I've been dealing with some sound issues for the last like 2 months, apparently. I didn't know how bad it was until I listened to a recording yesterday. And I was like, wow, I can only hear like half the things I'm saying. So I spent like 90 minutes last night like reinstalling stuff and trying to fix the sound. I don't know if it's done anything or not, but Dom and I did a test this morning, and I think it's okay. I think it's okay now. All right, I sound all right. I'll take it. I'll take it. Someday I'm going to try to sound great, but I'll settle for all right. So... Whew. Okay. So, I also loaded up, I think I loaded up the wrong game. Alright. Let's go to let's get the other game booted up. Let's do that. Cool. I was like, man, they're already in the desert? Aw. Thanks. That's good. Being understood is important. They're already in the desert? No, they're still in the airship. So we got to get that fixed. I don't think this group is going to be in the desert today. Maybe. They might crash land today. I don't know if they'll actually be able to defeat. I don't know anything about anything when it comes to Pathfinder 2 with guns. I think I kind of understand Pathfinder math a little bit, but critical hits and builds made to deal critical hits are so wildly unpredictable that like any real game balance, I think, starts to go right out the window. If you've got like gun critters or crit fishing fighter builds, like I just don't know how you can really have a balanced game, right? Because it's balanced. Is the game balanced around, and I'm sure it is because the math is there, right? Is the game balanced around the fighter's average amount of crits or the gunslinger's average amount of crits? Or is someone that crits a lot going to be, wow, this music is way too upbeat. Holy shit. Sorry, hold on. Alright, this one's called Steampunk. Oh, that's too intense. I just watched some music this morning. Oh my god. Wow. Okay, hold on. Let's just, what about this? Oh, that might be too chill. Hold on. Sky Islands? Here we go. Alright, I'll take it. Yeah, See, Crypt, I don't know how I feel about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't know how I feel about it. Like, I'm enjoying the hell out of playing Pathfinder, and I'm enjoying the hell out of running Pathfinder, but, like, I don't know. Like, I, I was telling myself that it was just because I'm running Alkenstar and there's a lot of gun crits, but I don't think that's true. Because, like, hearing about your game and hearing about Dom's one shots, and then my own experience in Abomination Vaults, like, some of those bosses that we fought in Abomination Vaults, it was like praying for crits. Like, that's all we could do. All we could do was pray for a critical hit, because and that we didn't get a critical hit, that we gave a critical hit. And like, some of the bosses just mathematically were just critically hitting us all the time. So it really became like, there were times where I didn't feel like the game was well designed at all, because you needed that +2 bonus from the fighter or the gunslinger to put you in range to get critical hits, because some of the monsters' HP with resistances was so high that you couldn't, like, get through it. You know what I'm saying? But then I had people argue to me that Pathfinder's like a thinking man's game, right? It's like The Witcher on a harder difficulty, right? Like, you have to know your opponent. You have to bring a Casey Jones golf bag full of weapons and bombs and everything that you can to take advantage of enemy weaknesses and they don't call them vulnerabilities, but you have to play smart, right? And that's cool and all, but like, how often really do you know what you're fighting until you're fighting it? And then there's like the metagaming issue, right? Like, you obviously want to metagame because the things that you're fighting are really, really tough. And you don't want to metagame because you want to be a good player. And like, okay, so you build around recall knowledge checks or whatever, but now you're using action economy for recall knowledge checks so that you can now abuse these weaknesses that you may or may not be prepared for, right? Like, am I supposed to, in my backpack, have at least one item for every damage type there is? And even then, is abusing an enemy weakness once going to be enough? I wonder if the idea is that if you can't hurt them via getting around resistance or well, yeah, like, that's the thing. Like, I feel like the people that defend the weakness in the design here, right? I feel like they love this game, and it's a great game, and it's a lot of fun, right? But, and it's definitely more quote-unquote balanced than anything that I've encountered in 10 plus years of running 5th edition D&D. Like, there's just nothing, right? Like, the Goblins of Phandelver showed you from day one that 5e was not mathematically balanced, right? But my concern is that if you go around thinking to yourself that everything in this game, in Pathfinder 2, is perfectly balanced, I don't think that's true at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that critical hits are such a wild card to the experience, and maybe that's the design. Maybe that's like what is supposed to be the case. But I've seen a lot of bosses like one shot because of a gun critical, or because of a magic weapon critical at low level, or something like that, right? And like, does that feel good for the player? Yeah. Is it okay for the DM? Sure, because taking Jacob from XP level 3 stance, it sucks to have your cool boss killed in one hit, but get this, you have more bosses, right? You have more bosses, and if it was an important boss, you could have put yeah, you could have put more work into making that boss stronger, tougher, multi-phase, built around like those issues, right? So I get it. And I'm sorry to go off on a tangent like this morning, but like I find it just very fascinating that like a lot of times in the game I'll be like, oh yeah, like I know how this will turn out because I've been playing 5e a lot for 10 years, so I can kind of just look at a fight and be like, yeah, I know how it's gonna go. I know how this will turn out. I have a good idea that these guys aren't gonna make their saves and that they are gonna do this, and like we play 5e with massive crits and everything else, and I've played 5e with critical hit cards, and they've resulted in boss fights ending, prematurely and things like that, but not to the extent that they happen in this. Like, I feel like the critical hits make this so unpredictable that I could never know for sure how any particular fight's going to turn out. Yeah, I get that. And Dr. Rob and Zoro, I think without their critical hit system, this game would be very boring. Because the math is so tight and it is so steady that without that crazy explosive jackpot mechanic of the critical hit, I just don't think it would be that enjoyable. Because the numbers are so tight, it would just feel like every fight would feel the same, right? This is where I'm trying to go with it. So I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that I'm struggling sometimes to even guess at how a fight is going to go because I have no idea. If they're going to get, if Conti rolls into a Monday night and rolls 5 crits in a row, 5 nat 20 crits in a row, that's the game, right? That's it. We're done for the night. Well, yeah, you say that, like, the teamwork to get critical hits, and I've experienced that as a player in Abomination Vaults, and that's part of what I love about it, is, like, I love the teamwork is baked into the mechanics. I'm talking about Dr. Robin Zoro real luck. I'm not talking about Pathfinder Kid math, right, where we all work together to give you a number that's 10 higher than the number you're supposed to get. That's fine. That's great. I'm talking about if someone's having a great night and they're rolling nothing but nat 20s, that's like that night is over, right? That's just like everything's dead. And like that's awesome, right? Because it's like, oh my god, just fucking killing everything. And it's not like that happens all the time. But there are, and I believe in luck. I believe in luck very much. There are lucky players, and there are lucky characters, and there are lucky players with lucky characters. And I think this system, more than any game I've ever played, rewards luck. Which is kind of wild. It's kind of wild to me that a game that is so math driven and prides itself so much on math, at the end of the day, if you land on free parking, right? This is the Monopoly homebrew that everybody loves to use. If you keep landing on free parking, it doesn't matter how bad you are at Monopoly, right? You're just going to keep winning that lottery. You're just going to keep getting by with your nat 20s. So in 5e you deal 8 damage normally, you crit and maybe do 14. In Pathfinder 2, you hit normal for 8, you crit for 37, and the boss is bleeding and on his ass blinded. Absolutely, Crypt. Real luck is human brain juice problems. Game luck average out. There is, I think, a mod to track dice results. I am aware that there is a mod to track dice results. I don't know, man. I'm just not Pathfinder Kid enough. Even with Richard here, in my life now. Even with little baby Richard here. Okay? I'm just not Pathfinder Kid enough. Okay? To stop believing in luck. Alright? I'm not gonna stop believing in luck. So, buddy. We're gonna get through this, okay? Alright. I know you miss your brother. I know you miss your brother. You're doing a great job at guarding my office, though. I haven't seen scribbles in the trash can in a while, so you're doing a good job. You're like a little scarecrow for pugs. Nah, Scribbles isn't scared of Richard. I'm just telling him that to make him feel better. 3 years, Dom. God damn. Alright, so. Ooh. Okay. So let's see. Let's actually do some prep with our 19 minutes we have left. Now that I've ranted about crits, and I'm not ranting in a bad way. I'm just ranting in a, this is something that I've been thinking about a lot in the game. Yeah. Crits are awesome, and it's very slot machine hit the jackpot feeling when you get a crit. I still have lingering dopamine from some of the moderately good critical hits that I got on my summoner, and I still have lingering dopamine from the critical hits that other people got in Abomination Vaults that my character didn't get, but they were so important to surviving a fight that I still remember feeling good about us getting those critical hits. So like, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that it's been making it very hard for me to predict what happens in the games. That's all. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So it's not meant to be anything else. You know, it's not. It's just me pointing out observation. Don't call the Pathfinder cops. I like Pathfinder. I'm not saying it's bad. All right. Yeah, magic weapon does not up. I mean, once everybody has striking runes or whatever, right? It doesn't, like, magic weapons just kind of like, hey, thank God you were here. You carried us through the hard times. All right. So let's see. Okay. So something I was gonna do is I was working on worn out blue Dracolisk here. Why was I working on that? Well, I made a very cool monster. I'm gonna pat myself on the back. That sand symbiote Tyrannosaurus Rex, chef's kiss. That was a cool monster. However, I allowed someone to play a Battle Zoo dragon in this game, and I want them to feel like, you know, they're not the only dragon in the world. Do you know what I'm saying? So we're gonna add a dragon to the Cradle of Course, which is, you know, apparently not a hard enough dungeon already, because if you gun crit the Hound of Tyndalos, I mean, who fucking cares, right? Alright, so normally, per the adventure, there's some cockatrice here, and that's fine. But I like the idea of using these cockatrice to scare everyone into staying in the dungeon a little bit longer, right? Because once you're beat up real bad, you don't want to be fucking around with no cockatrice. So we're gonna save those. I added this dinosaur, and I had this dinosaur skeleton come alive, and it was really, really cool. I thought it was a really cool fight. It did some cool stuff. It was everything that I wanted it to be, right? It turned out really, really good. So what I want to add for them is a custom dragon fight. So discretion is a desert dragon. So I have taken a blue Dracolisk, and I am starting to Frankenstein it into like a boss monster called the Mutant Desert Drake. Alright, so right away, you're going to see that it's CR9, and it needs to be CR8. It has some pretty sweet moves. It's got Savage Jaws, it's got Petrifying Gaze, it's got a Breath Weapon. The Breath Weapon does electricity, a decent amount, 60-10, but it's a line, so it ain't great. It's got Savage Claws, which are pretty insane. Or sorry, Savage Jaws. The Dracolisk makes a single attack for 2 Pac-Man. If it hits, it does 4d12 plus 16 damage instead of the normal amount, I suppose. The normal amount being 2d12, right? So it's doubling that. So if it crits on that, that's a lot of damage, right? So I think on a crit, let's see, calculator, 48 plus 16 times 2, be 128 points of damage max on a critical hit, if this thing. Yeah. Oh, dang, Crypt, you trusting? Well, all right. Have fun with that. Have fun with that. All right. So we got petrifying gaze. So the Draculus stares at a creature can see within 30 feet. That creature must attempt a fortitude save if it fails. Blah blah blah. And it's got this petrifying glance. So I think this is pretty cool. Monster. Now I had to change the miniature art for this monster to be less blue and more orange, which I did. But here's what makes me happy. I have figured out how to make the tokens pop out really far without being selectable. Right? I've been wondering about this since I started playing around with Pathfinder, because I'm like, dang, they took my pop-out tokens to the next level. I'm not saying I invented the pop-out token, but I mean, before I put a video up about pop-out tokens, there weren't any pop-out tokens. Just saying, just throwing that out there. So I was like, how the fuck did they do that? So I figured it out. Let me see if I can get that booted up without too many spoilers, though. Without too many spoilers. Hold on. I'm gonna do a be right back. Alright. So, let's see. There probably shouldn't be desktop music on my away screen. Gotta figure out why that's happening. Oh, focus. Alright. Yeah, so, when you boot up Photoshop, it's like, hey, let's continue work on your last thing. Well, I don't want to reveal what my last thing was at this time. So let's see. Active tokens. Outlaws of Alkenstar. Where are my big ones? Outlaws of Alkenstar. Ah, big overflow. Alright. Alright, let's go back to it. Alright, so this is how it works. I took the regular token, okay, and I shrank it down to be 510 because it was currently 800. Because 800 is a nice, good resolution in my opinion. But I lowered it down to 512. But then now that it was centered right at 512, I increased the canvas size to 1024. So now anything that appears anywhere on the canvas is going to show up, right? So the dragon's big ass wing or whatever is like flying out there. It's still going to show up, right? So this is really good because all you got to do inside Foundry is you set the appearance down here to size. You set the scale to 2. And now it works. So we could do this potentially with any sort of like mini that we come up with. We could be twice as big now as it permits, or even larger if you wanted to, without causing any issues of like, the token's too big. We're grabbing the token where we're not supposed to be grabbing the token. See, look, I'm not grabbing the token, and that's amazing. But if I directly grab it, I grab the token. So I'm happy about that. That was really cool. I'm sure for some people it was like, duh. But now I have a template where I can easily create Pathfinder 2 sized miniatures, which is great. I'm very excited about that. Alright, so with the 10 minutes we have left, let's look at Mutant Desert Drake and what we're going to do to make him more interesting. First of all, it's got to be able to talk to discretion. So we're going to give it Draconic as a language. There we go. And let's see, it's got stealth, survival, acrobatics, and athletics. That's fine. It's kind of savage, so it doesn't have any of that. We've got to grab our Marauders from earlier, because the Marauders that they're probably going to fight today have this wonderful thing called Mana Fever. So we have to add that in. And then we have to give it attacks here plus Mana Fever. Let's see. Do this plus Mana Fever. I think that's how that's set up. Let me see. Where does it add plus Mana Fever? Rules, description. Huh. How is it saying plus Mana Fever? Talon Finesse, details. Ah, additional attack effects. Okay, that's where it's being added. Alright, so we go in here. And we go to details, additional attacks effects. And Mana Fever. Oh, nice. Wow. Man, this fucking character sheet is so... like, for the monsters, now that I'm understanding it, how it works, it's good shit, guys. This is some good shit. Okay. Mana Fever. Excellent. Alright. So, let's see. This Mana Fever has a DC of 22. Which is fine, I think. We could keep the 22 there as well. Because its other stuff is much higher at like a 28. So we could just say that the disease itself, right, has a 22. It's not based on the creature giving it to you. Alright, now I like the idea of the acid pustules also being on the mutant desert drake, but I think what I like about the mutant desert drake is its mutation is it absorbed a basilisk, right? Or it feeds on the cockatrice, and then that's what gave it its abilities. So I think that could probably work too. Alright, so let's see. We still need to make it less powerful. So what we could do is we could go into our mercenary marketplace, and we could go and grab some templates from there and see if there's anything in descriptive that might be fun. There's clumsy, foolish, frail, and punchable, or there's convalescent, feeble, inept, and unlucky, or we could just hit the weak button, which will probably just hit the weak button, honestly. So that'll drop it down to a CR 8, which still makes it a severe encounter, but there's 5 of them, and they're going to have B team abilities, which I'm finding are very strong, and they have Faxpiration, and they have Fanspiration, so they have a lot going for them in that regard. So I think that overall this will be a very difficult fight unless they just gun crit it like 3 times. But I think that's all we really need to do to this one, and then it should be good to go. Everything else about it seems pretty good. Yeah, looks like the everything's going down in strength. The electricity has been dampened, Savage Jaws, the whole deal. So overall, I'm pretty happy with that. It looks pretty cool. So yeah, not a lot of prep today. Not a lot of prep. I had to fix my sound settings. They're level 5 here, Dom. They will be level 5 here. Which that's a great thing to bring up is what are we going to do about all that? So let's grab our Faxpiration document, have that open, and then we're going to go and grab our Outlaws Alkenstar GM notes and get those opened up. All right. So Alright, book 1 is done. Book 2. Okay. The party should be 5th level before they begin looking for an airship pilot at the start of Chapter 2. And then they get to level 6 by the time they reach the Cradle of Quartz. So they reach the Cradle of Quartz. This will be the last thing they have to deal with before the Cradle of Quartz. Alright. So, I'll go ahead and hide this guy for now. Oh, that was the last thing I wanted to give this thing, was a burrow speed. So it's only going to have a burrow of 20, but there we go. Because it's a desert dragon. So it's going to be like sleeping like under the bones of this creature. There we go. Nice. Okay, so with all that settled, I got to go run the game. Thank you guys for hanging out. I know it was a little scatterbrained this morning, ranting about critical hits and whatnot, but I feel like it's, as a new GM for Pathfinder, it's definitely something that I am learning to live with and appreciate a bit more. And then the thing about the template was pretty exciting that I figured out this week, and yeah. So, anyways, if you want to watch this game, it'll be streamed this morning by Lexaeus, so you can check that out. Otherwise, the VOD will be out later in the week. No games going on tonight. Normal game schedule tomorrow. So, Daybreak and Mythic, and then Monday night we'll have more Sunset. Hope everybody has a good weekend, and I'll see you next time.